out of the thousands of properties we've bought and sold, this is the one we kept for a reason.
Like, we didn't think a valley was like putting a pond in a valley made no sense to us. We would never have thought a potential pond site and a very natural pond site. Just thought we'd dig and then like put it on a flat area.
I guess there's more to that than we thought. Worst case scenario, it's going to look like a asteroid hit our land and there's just a giant gap in it.
That's pretty bad worst case scenario.
I want to be able to pull my laptop out, work, record podcast, go swim in the pond, hunt. I want to be able to do everything I do in normal life there is the goal. Because then I can go there for a week at a time and not care. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today's topic, we're talking about building a pond on our 40-acre land in Kentucky, and we're going to walk you through the process of building a pond on our property. As always, guys, I'm your host, Dan Repke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Repke. And as a lot of you guys have known, we bought a 40-acre property several years ago in northern Kentucky, and we're just holding it for long term. We're doing some recreational stuff with it, and it's really a lot of it's for enjoyment, long-term investments. You know, I was there skeet shooting this weekend, a lot of things like that, hunting. It's just really fun because, you know, land is our business and enjoying it is also a second piece to that. You know, we're doing all these flips and doing all these investment properties, but building a pond is something we're tackling, and we're going to talk through that process. But welcome back, Ron.
Yeah, happy to be here. And yeah, I think this will be a good episode for people to kind of hear, wow, I mean, necessarily, this isn't like a investment necessarily. Like, we will get some equity with this that we're doing, but it's not like we're trying to flip this property or anything like that.
It's a major improvement. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a major, it's our biggest improvement we've done on land as far as the amount of money it's going to cost. It is our biggest improvement we've done. Mm-hmm. It's the, I think most like, I don't want to say stressful, but it's just the most like, it's just the biggest improvement we've done.
Yeah, by far, not even close. And we're talking 1 to 2 acre pond here. I think it's going to be around 1.5 acres. And the reason we did this was to, like Ron said, get some long-term equity, but for enjoyment as well, and also learn throughout the process. And we're taking what we learn while doing these developments and doing these improvements on land, and we're bringing them back to you and talking about the process and talking, you know, that's why we're here right now. And we can take what we learned from that and our teachings and everything else we do.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just being on the land with experts in land clearing. Like, building a pond is like you are digging deep. You're digging 10, 15 feet deep into the ground. So like you are talking to experts in this stuff, people who understand land as far as what it is way better than us, what you need for these different things, the type of soil you need, all these different things. So I think it's education wise for us, like it is a huge, we're learning so much. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And 100% we're going, like our pond we're doing is big. Right? Like that's going to be a decent sized pond, but there's also smaller ponds you can do for a fraction of the cost, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And that way you can do them relatively quick and probably get some equity. So if you guys are looking for ways, you know, you're subdividing, you're doing different things, you're looking for improvement values, a pond does take a little bit of time and experience and things like that. But the biggest thing is it takes long to fill. And that's why this is more of a long-term project. It's going to take 12 months to fill this pond in general. But this is something, are we going to get that equity back? Yes. Are we doing it because of that? Not really. Is it going to sell better than other properties too, though? Yes. So it's a combination of all these different things. Plus, it's just going to be so fun to go. Our plan is to do the pond first, and then we have a cleared spot at the top. We're going to put like a little cabin and maybe a couple cabins eventually, things like that, and build it out. But the pond's the first step to that, and that's why we're here, Ron.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be I think it's cool. It's going to take so long. It's a long process. Like, it's something that we're an hour away too from the property. So it's not like we can just like walk out our back door and just be at this property. As far as like it takes time to go meet these people, scheduling, all these different aspects that are going into this project. And we haven't even broken ground yet, which is this part, Dan, and you can talk about it more in detail. This part of it, choosing the right person to do it, choosing where. Like, we could even start just talking about choosing where to put a pond. And the question we've had this entire time and still haven't 100% decided, I think we're 95% there, is do we put in a valley, which is a more natural runoff for a pond to be, or do we put it on a flatter area where it's going to take time to fill? But
and that's where the expertise comes in. It's 100%. Like you see the different, you're looking at map and contour lines and the natural features, and then you're walking it and you're looking at it from there with experts. And we're looking at a map, we're going and walking at it, we're digging for soil, seeing what the clay is, and we're actually looking at it and then going there and executing, and seeing that is so much knowledge.
It's cool. It's cool to see, like, we've seen, I mean, before doing this project, I've probably been to land like 5 times in the 2.5 2 years we've owned it or whatever. And then we're going so much now to it's a big decision because it's a costly project, and making the wrong decision can cost you a lot. And then like our biggest thing is like, how are we going to use the pond? It's for recreation, it's for enjoyment, it's for sweat, all these different things.
Fishing.
And fishing. And that's why we're leaning towards doing the pond on the flat area opposed to a valley where it's just, I don't know. It's just, you feel like you got to go down a hill to get to the pond.
It would be a good slip and slide though.
Yeah, 100%. Good slip and slide.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. So the first step, I guess let's just go through the steps of how so we identified we wanted a pond on the property. That was number one. And we're like, okay. And then from there, Ron and I had no idea where to place it. We're thinking maybe on this hill right here at this little flat area, but that's all we really knew. We didn't know a valley was going to be into play. So first step, we called a bunch of people. We got people to show there, and we're getting, opinions, professional opinions. That was the first step, and then quotes essentially. And what you learn from the opinions, first you start with knowing nothing. So you're just listening and absorbing everything. And then you kind of build a base of knowledge on what they're looking at. And then you kind of critique what they're looking at in their opinions and weigh it against other people's opinions and kind of go from there. But the first step was getting people out there because we had no idea what this was going to be. We didn't know how deep it was going to be. We didn't know the size it was going to be. We didn't know where it was going to be or anything like that.
Yeah, and you've been more hands-on with the project. But yeah, just kind of the knowledge just from talking to them is crazy. Because I remember when we first, we didn't think a valley was putting a pond in a valley made no sense to us. We would never have thought that would be where the pond would be, a potential pond site and a very natural pond site. We just thought we'd dig and then put it on a flat area or a flattish area.
I guess there's more to that than we thought.
100%. And the valley might take 6 months, 8 months to fill, where this flat spot could take 2 years, I feel like.
I hope not.
But it could take 18 months, 2 years to completely fill where we have a 15-foot flatter spot. It's not 100% flat, guys. It's rolling for sure, but a valley is a 20-foot drop over
more than that.
Over 20. I'm saying how steep of a drop it is. Yeah. It is an extreme drop.
It's 15% probably.
And so much water will funnel into there relatively fast, I think. So we'll see. Right now we're just so much at the infant stages. We haven't broken ground yet, but our knowledge has just grown so much, and that's what I think is really cool.
Yeah, and we're learning, and it's insane going back and forth, and just how much we've learned in such a short amount of time. And then couldn't even imagine what we're going to learn about the cabin. Prepping the site and getting the foundation and the plumbing and electric and septic and all of that too. Being there on site and digging wells, all of that. And we've learned a lot about our land. We discovered there's 2 ponds on the land we didn't even know about. It's 40 acres, not that big. We didn't know there's 2 little ponds that we just never seen that area, I guess, because it's a little overgrown and the pond is very algae driven. But that was another option that we had instead of a valley, is we can clear that whole area with a forestry mulcher, knock it all down, and really expand this pond out, or just keep it the same and, maybe expand it a little bit, but really clean it up. And that would be a nice second location potentially if we had a future cabin or a little hut or picnic table, something over there and all that stuff. So that was the first step, is coming up with the location. So the pros of being in a valley, the slope is working in your favor. So you have all the runoff from all the different sides collecting in one area, and then you build a dam. So essentially it's a valley, and then you build a dam on one side up, 20 feet. And then that's essentially holding all the water in, coming from all the different sides of the hills, and it fills quicker. It's going to hold more water. The cons with it's a forest, and you need to clear all the trees. The number one issue with ponds leaking are roots and tree stumps and all of that. So you need to grind all the stumps down, get clay from somewhere else, because you're not going to dig down in a valley. You're already down. Yeah. You can't dig that much more down. So you got to go get clay from other places. So there's some cons with that, but it does get natural runoff faster. That's the pro. But we need to clear all the trees out. We need to clear everything out, really clean it up, and then dig. And that's a lot of extra work. The cons on top is it's less runoff. So it's not necessarily on top of a mountain. It's you go down 50, 60 feet in elevation probably, and 150 yards or so, and then the pond's going to be there. So it's still getting runoff, and it still should fill. And that's the con, is it's less runoff essentially. But we're going to be able to get clay from there because we're digging down now, and there's a ton of clay in the soil, and we're going to line it all with clay. That's one thing we learned. You can artificially or synthetically line it with a liner, or you can use clay. Clay is what you want to use because it's already in the earth. It's not additional cost, right? It's already there, and you're digging, and hopefully there's going to be a lot there. So that's the pros and cons with on top as well. But the biggest pro also, it looks better in my opinion. It's next to the cabin. And it's just like you're going to have a driveway go right up to our cabin, and the pond's going to be 40 feet in front of that. Like and the views over the rolling hills. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the being on the flatter spot, not in the valley, is more of an improvement, and it's pretty much the same cost. That's how I kind of look at it, and it's just more enjoyable. Like one, I think an end buyer, like for whatever reason, we sell in 10 years, 5 years, whatever, upgrade
Maybe
to
1,000 acres.
to something. Yeah, who knows? You upgrade to a bigger property or something like that, and you sell it. Like I know for a fact that is going to be more intriguing if it's done correctly. I think the risk might be higher. Like if this pond just doesn't fill, which I don't think it's just not going to fill at all, but like I think the risk could potentially be a little higher, but you don't have to build that dam, which is nice. Like when you're on a flatter area, you just have to line it, make sure it doesn't leak too much, or it doesn't leak, essentially lining it with the clay. You can use the clay from the hole that you just dug.
They still build a dam.
Yeah, it's not as big.
We
don't have to build a 20-foot wall.
Well, when you do it in on the flat area, you dig 5 feet down, and then you can put that dirt on 5 feet up. You know what I mean? The dirt needs to go somewhere. So it's like they balance it out. So you don't need to dig 20 feet down because you build the kind of area around it up also, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm learning also. So that makes sense. And the worry is just not fill. That's the biggest risk, I guess.
Ben, our videographer sitting here, said it's going to fill, and that means it's going to fill. No, but I called him and I was like, listen, because we've been posting our journey on Instagram. And if you guys are interested in following this, my Instagram at Daniel Apke, we're posting all the updates and all the short form videos on what's going on. But that being said, I listened to the comments, and we have thousands of comments saying do it in the valley. So that was my worry. But we also have thousands saying do it on top. But it's like, so I called Ryle yesterday, the contractor, and I was like, listen, everyone's saying to do it in the valley. You think this thing's really going to fill on top? And he was confident. He's like, there's a lot of clay there. It's clay. It's gonna fill up. It might take a little time, but he's like, I've never had a pond not fill up. So
worst case scenario, you bring some water.
Worst case scenario, that's expensive.
Yeah.
How many millions of gallons did you say?
That's a lot. I don't know. I did the math.
Worst case scenario, it's going to look like a asteroid hit our land and there's just a giant gap in it.
That's pretty bad worst case scenario.
That's not good. That's a big gap. But it'll be good dirt biking and stuff. So yeah, we determined the location. So tomorrow, and this was the whole process up to this, is evaluate, the existing ponds, the valley, the on top. And we wanted on top because the aesthetics and, just having your kids and everyone out there in a cabin and some people camping out and all that with the pond there. It's just going to be really nice with stocked fish. So we determined we're 95% sure on top. So tomorrow what we're doing, we're going out and staking it out and determining the actual location with stakes across it and measuring it out and doing that whole thing. And then early September, we're going to break ground essentially.
Yeah. I'm excited to see like these. It's been, I don't want to say stressful, but it's been a lot as far as to get to this point, to get to breaking ground on anything. Like you got to make a lot of right decisions, and we still don't know if we're making right decisions on anything, but we feel good. We're educated on our decisions. We're so much more educated on the decisions that we're making. So yeah, I think getting the stakes and then like you actually see it coming to life and then just slowly kind of filling up over the next, I'm guessing it's going to take 12, 18 months to fill. Unless it snows. I think snow would be amazing.
We'll probably have 4 cabins on there by the time it's filled.
We'll just slowly fill it up. And
I keep adding Duran's plate. I said 1 cabin, then I was like, we got to get your family another cabin too over there.
Yeah, it's cool though. It's only an hour away. Like it's getting away. It's quiet. It's nature. It's all these different things I think that are going to just make it enjoyable. I think where you can get away from like the grind of a city or whatever you want to say, your day to day. It's just different. It feels different.
It's a nice piece of land too. Like it's really, really nice. Because you're not that far from civilization. You do have neighbors, but it's not like you're in the middle of a road and have, like, we are at the end of a cul-de-sac just about. It's not a cul-de-sac, but let's just say like there's no traffic going to ours because we're like the last property and it's very secluded. And it's like you're also still fairly close to certain things in northern Kentucky. So I always like when I bring my friend, he owns 32 acres in Kentucky also, and he always tells me how lucky I am for our property because he just sees it driving up.
And
Besides the one neighbors with all the trash out and stuff, once you get there, you're like, but you don't see that from our
Yeah.
property. It's just an eyesore getting there.
Yeah.
But he always talks about how nice it is and always opens me up to it. And I was like, that's why we bought that one though. Out of the thousands of properties we've bought and sold, this is the one we kept for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just like part of it's location for sure. The reason
Of course, yeah.
we got it for such a good deal. We bought it for $100,000 or something, 2-3 years ago. And we've obviously built equity or anything like that. It's never really been a money thing with the property. We're always going to try to get a good deal when we buy a piece of land, because that's what we do. But yeah, it's just long term. I'm excited for what we can take it from just a raw piece of land with brush and thorns and all that other crap everywhere to having like some pasture grass with a pond in it with a cabin at the top. Like it's going to be insane to see the initial first drone
gravel
pictures we
driveway
ever
coming down.
Like and I think we're being effective with the money we're spending too. A pond's not cheap. I don't know if you want to talk about
Yeah, we can talk about price because I think that's a good segue. This is about educating people on improvements, and we can talk about the price of everything.
And it's going to be location dependent. I think it's going to be land dependent, obviously. The one thing that caught my mind, or that kind of I was thinking when he was saying like that size doesn't matter that much. Like it matters a little bit, $5, $10, $15,000, but the actual building and digging and getting the clay, like whether it's a half acre might have been $30,000, something like that, where an acre and a half is $50,000 or something. I don't know if we could even get down to $30,000. It might have been 35 for a half acre pond, but we'll be around $50,000 for a 1.5 acre pond.
Yeah, and keep in mind it's very location dependent. There's no they don't think there's rocks in our soil, so they don't need to move. Rocks are a big issue when you're packing down clay and things like that, and there's clay. I was watching a YouTube video where they had to bring in limestone to line it, and that was really expensive. And they had a barge out on it, pushing it to put the limestone in, and I'm sure that's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So our resources are good there with what we're working with. Different location by location, but yeah, we're about $50,000 in for the 1.5 acre pond. That being said, like, was that above our expectations or not? I think it was right on. I mean, I thought a little bit cheaper maybe, but at the same time, the value we're going to get from that's going to surpass the equity, and the fun and experiences we're going to have from that definitely is worth it. It's not crazy. But the next steps are, okay, we get the pond, and then what? We want cabin, right? We want a cabin. So in the future, we're going to have these on, we're going to do. And I'm curious to see what you guys like in the comments. Seriously, I literally look at every link or anything you guys send me because it's really interesting, and a lot of you guys know better than we do or just have ideas. But we're thinking of doing a modular cabin because we're in Kentucky. There's a lot of Amish, and they build the modular cabins and then they assemble them. Essentially, it's like little pieces, and they just assemble them on site. So it's stick built. It's not like a mobile home where it's not stick built. It's stick built, and it's an actual framing system and everything, and they're using trusses and all of that. But a modular home from Amish because we're down there. So we're going to want that cabin on there from one of those Amish companies. And then there's a lot of different ideas and that we have that might change too. We haven't even started that process really. But to get the cabin, what else do we need? The driveway needs to be cut in. So we're going to need to cut a 300-foot, 200-foot driveway to get to the cabin in front of the lake. Put gravel, whatever they do, pack the gravel down on it, right? And then you're going to need a cleared out area for the cabin. And then you're going to need a foundation for the modular home built to specs of whatever the modular home is, the shape and everything of that. And then the modular home is going to need to get delivered and assembled. But before that, you're going to need electric and sewage if you could go that route. And you're going to you can do an outhouse or something too, but they come with bathrooms, a lot of them. So getting the sewage set up, you're going to need electric set up. You're going to need the building site, all of that stuff ready to go essentially.
Yeah. I think the prep, that's obviously where a ton more money is going to come involved. But then you have a legitimate improvement.
These structures are good price though. Like you get 700 square foot price or property for $60,000 to $90,000, including delivery.
But that prep is expensive.
The prep is expensive, but the driveway's $15,000.
Yeah.
Let's say the driveway's 10 to 15, clearing it's 2, and digging it out flat, putting the foundations another 10, 15. I don't know. That's what I have no idea about. It's pouring the actual foundation, how much that is. The other stuff, I have a little bit of an idea.
Yeah. And that stuff, I don't know. It's
electric. If it's over 1,000 feet, that's going to be money.
Yeah. It's going to be
septic system.
It's gonna be expensive for sure. Like you don't tell me it's gonna be add up for sure. But then
So
you
just
have
get a
you
porta
have a
potty.
residence. Like you have a residence. I think you go all in terms of like because then you have the highest
That would sell for hundreds of 500 grand.
for sure. Then you have without a doubt you have a pond. It's a $250,000 property as is. You add a pond. You add a residence, whether it's 1-2 bedroom, like a legitimate. Like you can come live here if you want to live here. Get off the grid a little bit. Like you can do solar. Would solar not hold up there? You don't think?
You can do some.
You do some, just not full.
I would be connected also, but everyone says solar. I have solar down in Florida. It works really well, but you want reliable electricity too.
Yeah. And I think as just society moves, it just spreads away from cities. And that's what, like, you're closer. We're in between Lexington and Cincinnati, essentially, at that property.
Solar's expensive too, though.
Yeah.
To install it.
Yeah, 100%. Probably just do electric.
Yeah, just wire it in.
Yeah.
If you want to go off the grid, though, electric's on the grid.
Yeah.
So like if you are looking to go off the grid, which I don't care for this property to or not, then you do solar because then literally you're not connected to anything. And then you have Starlink Wi-Fi and you're good to go and you can work and do everything you need.
Yeah. I haven't thought that much about that. It'll probably be a year before.
I want to be able to pull my laptop out, work, record podcast, go swim in the pond, hunt, do everything I want to be able to do everything I do in normal life. There is the goal. Because then I can go there for a week at a time and not care. Just know I'm out. Or go there for a weekend and not even think twice because I don't need to pack all my camping gear and sit outside. There's a whole structure there and I'm on 40 acres and you open the door and you can't hear anything besides a couple gunshots 10 miles away.
Yeah.
Like it's out there. It's fun.
I think that's, 12, 24 months, however long.
Not that long.
Huh?
Not that long.
Building a structure is going to take a while.
We're getting it shipped.
Yeah.
It'll
I
be
understand.
6 months we'll have it.
We'll see.
If we want it. Yeah.
We'll keep you guys updated on the journey. You have anything else to add though, Dan?
No, I hope you guys learned from this experience. And like, if you guys are looking, if you guys are land investors or not, like this is a way we're going to have the equity. We're going to make money on this. Is it our number one goal right now? No, this is for experiences, but we will also. So if you want to make it your number one goal, you can do these kind of improvements. You can have it on the side. You can rent it out for Airbnb. You can go there part-time. You can resell it and flip it. Like you can do these improvements with a financial reason to, if you want to. That's just not ours. But this whole process is the process, whether you do it for that or not. It's all about getting the right price and having the right strategy for your specific land needs.
100%. If you guys are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. Like this, leave us a comment. Like Dan said, like the comments we really read, we're really interested to see what you guys have to say about this process, what we should do next. If we're doing something wrong, let us know. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave us a review on there. Leave us a comment if you can do that. Like the episode. Other than that, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining, guys. As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.